Okay, I am going in for the Spyder's first maintenance. This year, the dealership informed me that the first maintenance for my Spyder should be at 6,000 miles. So I am heading in early on a Saturday morning to hope that I'm one of the first people in line, because I'd rather not wait around all day to get my Spyder back. Let's see how this goes. Now, my Spyder has been operating perfectly. I have not had any issues with mine. Now, years ago, I want to say 2010, 11 or 12, something like that, we did have a Spyder RT or LT. Yeah, I think it was an LT. I can't remember though. But it was a beautiful bike. However, the electronics on it were horrible. It would go into limp mode. We would get several faults. At times, the screen would not turn on. And so I was a little apprehensive when I went to look at a new Spyder. And I'm really pleased with the new electronics on this bike. It does have Apple CarPlay, and it will connect to your phone via a USB or Bluetooth. It does not have Android. So that is one thing I'm really hoping that BRP adds in the future. I know iPhone is the most popular phone, but there are those of us who have Androids, and it would be nice to be able to connect my phone directly to the auto CarPlay. But other than that, I haven't had any other issues. The fuel economy for me is pretty good. I mean, it's not great. It's about 30 to 32 miles a gallon. Now, to be fair, I am driving about 80% of the time on the highway, and I go between 75 and 80 usually. So I am chewing through gas due to the higher RPMs. I think I would get more if I was going at a slower rate, but I'm just not going to do that. So it is what it is. The display is beautiful. I don't know if you guys can see that right now, but it compared to the older model, this is a huge improvement. I'm never at a place where I cannot see the display. It has daytime and nighttime display settings. Nice bold letters. You know what you would expect in 2025 is just a good viewable interface. So I'm enjoying that. So like I said, not really any negatives for me. I have seen a few people having fault issues in the electronics, and I'm knocking on wood that I don't see those myself. But I've owned this bike for about 8 weeks, and like I said, I'm going in for the 6,000 mile maintenance. I'm currently at about 5,800 miles, and I'm really enjoying it. This machine just eats up the corners. The maneuverability is top notch. I know I've seen a lot of people saying that it feels squirrely to them on the roads, and I think if they realize that this machine wants to go straight, like it wants to go. So if you're death gripping the handlebars like really squeezing these things, for some reason, you will feel like it is a squirrely little monster that wants to run away from you. If you're very light on these handlebars, and I mean operating it almost like a sport bike, it will react really, really well to any little micro direction you give it. So if you do feel like it's wobbling around, if it's just trying to pull you left or right, take an assessment of how you're interacting with the machine, okay? Try to go real light, wiggle your fingers, get off those handlebars a little bit, and then just micro feed in what intention you want the bike to have, and I think a lot of those issues will go away for you. Now, anyone that's contemplating buying a Spyder, if you're coming from a two-wheel motorcycle world, you may hate it at first. You really might, because this does not operate in any way like a two-wheel motorcycle does. You're not going to lean into the turns. I mean, you can, but you don't have to. You're not going to basically steer this with your knees, right? You're not going to squeeze the tank and turn the bike. And so when you're first coming in from two wheels, it can feel very awkward, because instinctually your mind is going to want you to counter steer, counterbalance. It's going to want you to use your weight in that way. And so it took me quite a while to get into the fact, to train my mind of how I'm going to interface with this machine. Once I did that, and got out of my mind that I was riding a motorcycle, a two-wheel motorcycle, I was able to really start enjoying this. And that took me about a month when I first started riding a Can-Am Spyder. Now, for those of you that are coming from driving a car and you're interested in getting out on a motorcycle, for whatever reason you don't feel secure on a two-wheel bike, or you just don't feel safe, or you just don't like it, whatever it is, this is an extraordinary product for you. Because when you get on a Spyder or a Riker, you're going to instinctively know how to operate the vehicle. It's very simple. On a Riker, there's no shifting at all. You literally have your hand grip to give gas, and you have your brake by your right foot. That's it. So no clutch, no manual shifting. Very easy and very stable. On the Spyder, you do shift up with your thumb. You got a thumb shifter, and the bike will shift down for you automatically. If you want to shift down, you can for like a passing gear using the same shifter on the back of the handlebar. But it is extremely easy. Again, gas on your right hand, brake on your right foot, and just shift up when the bike tells you it needs to shift. Very smooth. The Spyder, I have the 2023 Spyder F3 Limited, and it is like floating on a cloud. Power steering, really good electronics, really good handling, and it wants to go. So it feels really fun to ride. The Riker that my wife has, she has the Riker Rally 900. It does not have power steering, and you know, based on the fact that it's a rally edition, it's meant to be able to go onto dirt trails and gravel and all that sort of stuff. It is hella fun to ride. I mean, just very fun. You feel like you're connected to the road. Both bikes have pretty good pickup and speed, They're not sport bike fast, but I have never been lacking for speed. The speed I need is easily getting up into the 90s for me, and like I said before, I standardly drive 75 to 80s, and it's just humming along when I do that. It's not being overworked at all. But the Ryker, yeah, what I compare it to is like my Spyder feels almost like I'm driving a Cadillac. It's floating on the road, feeling like I'm on a cloud. And the Ryker feels like I'm driving an old Porsche 911, where I am connected to the road, where I just feel everything, and I love that connection. So every once in a while I jump on my wife's bike and take it for a little cruise, because it is just super fun. And now, so any of you that are thinking about it, the Rykers, you can get them new, and I mean brand new from the dealership, between $9,000 and $14,000, depending on the model of Ryker that you get. And I think they're perfect beginner bikes. They come in 600cc or 900cc. And really, if you're a brand new rider, either of those bikes are going to do you well to start out with and have fun with. And again, they're extremely safe and comfortable. The Spyders can range anywhere between 19,000, depending on the model, and like 34,000 if you get the top of that model list, which is, I believe this year, still the Sea to Sky model. So the Spyders can be outside of some folks' price range, but there's always things like Facebook Marketplace. I've seen Rykers listed around $3,000 to $5,000. And Spyders even between like $7,000 and like $14,000 on Facebook. So and the one thing I do notice a lot buying secondhand bikes is I think a lot of folks get scared, right? So they start riding a bike or a trike for the first time. They put like 200 or 300 miles on it. Something happens and it scares them. And then it sits in their garage for a couple of years, and then they sell it. So I am seeing Spyders, Rykers, motorcycles on that Facebook Marketplace with like between 200 and 500 miles. It's insane. So there is that option. If you don't want to invest a ton of money and you're not, too interested in getting a brand new bike, those type of bikes, they're basically new. Right? Those folks barely even rode them. So check that out. Now, my 18-year-old daughter just went through her 3-wheel course a few weeks ago, and she has her license now, and she's riding her mom's Ryker around town every day. And now my 17-year-old son is going to be going to his 3-wheel course next month. So we will have 4 of us in the family riding 3-wheelers out on the roads. That is going to be a lot of fun. And I'm seeing now I'm going to need at least one more bike in my near future. So that's why I'm perusing the marketplace and looking at costs for used bikes, because I really don't want to buy another new one. And this morning, I am listening to Nirvana in my headset. Haven't heard them in quite a while. Saw them on Apple Music and made it my daily download. So give me a shout out and let me know, what are you listening to on your commutes or when you're just out riding for fun? Maybe I'll make a playlist of everybody. the dealership here in Fredericksburg, Virginia that we have for Can-Am is Fredericksburg Motorsports. I have bought, let's see, 6 motorcycles from them. 3 of them being Can-Am, 2 Spyders and 1 Riker. Just a good group of people over here, really good customer service. If you're in the local area, they do have classes and demonstrations at their place every once in a while. I think they post those on their website, but I'm not really sure. So, again, if you're interested, they also have clubs and stuff that put out brochures and things there. So if you're brand new to riding a Spyder or a Riker, you can stop by, meet some other folks, and just get to know the community around here a little bit better. A little bit of sunlight coming out. Looks like it's going to be a cloudy day today. I was hoping to go out for a ride after my trike is maintained, but if it's raining, I don't think my wife or daughter are going to want to ride their bike. So if I do it, I'll be doing it alone. And I'm arriving at Fredericksburg Motorsports. I'll be ending the video now, and then I'll talk to you guys later. Maybe I'll go inside once the store opens, and I'll show you guys around inside a little bit. Bye now.
Holy crap. Okay, you guys aren't going to believe this pricing. Basically, I just got done with getting the bike maintained at FMS. And I wanted to give you guys a quick input on the cost. So luckily, I paid for service for the first 2 years. So for me, I was contemplating whether or not to do that, and right now I'm really glad I did. This is basically the first service. They do check over the bike, they make sure everything looks good, but it ends up being basically just an oil change. That's it. So the total price of this oil change, get ready for it, was about $279. That's right, $279 for an oil change. So folks, for any of you that do not have the maintenance paid for up front, you might want to do the simple maintenance on your bike if you were thinking about getting a Spyder, because I do believe that's the most expensive oil change I've ever paid for. Just the labor alone was $170 something. So just wanted to let you all know, if that's any indication of future maintenance on this trike, it's not going to be cheap. So there's the news. Major expense there for an oil change. Thanks, everybody.